Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Super Dandori Bros Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leighton, and with me, I have the incredibly talented Ryan.
Oh, you're too kind.
Well,
I'm good at one thing and one thing only, and you and I both know it.
It's this game that we're about to talk about, isn't it?
Exactly, it's this game. Well, okay, and podcast clearly.
And podcast, yeah, we're pros.
Yeah, of course.
Just people haven't discovered us yet.
Yeah, exactly. Hidden talent, hidden gems, which is why we're talking about a hidden gem of a game today.
Mm-hmm. This is probably going to be a little bit of a new, I wouldn't say new series, but like it's something we want to touch on, different games that we feel like are hidden gems, games that, I definitely think there's some people that know about, but definitely the vast majority of people probably overlooked or at this point probably too young to even or be around for it. But
yeah, no kidding.
But today we're talking about a game that's near and dear to both of our hearts that we grew up with and spent way too much time playing, and that is Elite Beat Agents for the Nintendo DS.
We've talked about it briefly before, but I feel it deserves its own episode, and I think you do too.
Absolutely. It's like it's back during a time when like rhythm games were just absolutely just going crazy. Like we had Guitar Hero, you had Rock Band, and then there was a few other different games that were kind of out there trying to get grab some of that thunder. But definitely, and Elite Beat Agents was this weird little niche game that's actually not really like the original. It's based on a game that was Japan only, and I am going to butcher this name. I tried to find how to pronounce it. So it's Osu Tatakai. Nidan, I think. If you look up Elite Beat Agents on Wikipedia, you'll find what the game it's based on. And I'm sorry for everyone who's just laughing because I couldn't pronounce that, but I'm not good.
Yeah, if only we had Katie with us.
I know. Next time.
Yeah.
So I guess we should start, for those who don't know what Elite Beat Agents is. Ryan, could you explain to people like what exactly is Elite Beat Agents?
Okay, so the general premise of Elite Beat Agents is it is a game on the Nintendo DS, which is touch only, and it is sort of a mix between Guitar Hero and a comic book. And the idea is that different people around the globe are in some sort of trouble. And so sometimes it could be something as simple as like a mom who was supposed to go out and like have a picnic with the kid or something, but it turns out there was rainy weather, to like a taxi driver who has a pregnant woman who is in the middle of labor get into the back of his car, and he has to drive her to the hospital real fast. So some of them are a little bit more superficial. Some of them actually get a little bit more impactful, I think is probably the appropriate word. And the idea is that these people cry out for help, they just scream help, and somehow, somewhere, the Elite Beat Agents, who are like these secret agents who show up and dance their troubles away, they hear the call and they hop in a jet and fly to wherever the trouble is happening, and they dance very, very hard.
They dance so good.
Yeah, exactly. It's really goofy. Like, it's not supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be very goofy and fun and campy, and it just sort of has an atmosphere that works. And so the gameplay essentially consists of these sort of graphic novel / comic booky segments of story set to a song which is pretty recognizable to pretty much anyone who grew up in the 90s. And then you have to tap on the touchscreen in very specific locations to different patterns that show up on the screen. Sometimes you have to drag the stylus, and then there are some which I am convinced were put in the game for the sole purpose of selling replacement Nintendo DS's. There are some segments where you have to spin a circle on the screen as fast as you can, which I'm sure ruined many a touchscreen.
It ruined mine. I had to send mine.
Yeah. But that is more or less the premise of Elite Beat Agents without getting too far into the overall like overarching plot or any like particular episode within the game. Do you think I covered the story in in okay amount of detail?
Yeah, it's definitely like it covers the very general gist of it. It's a very goofy game. And when I remember when I was playing, I rarely paid too much attention to dancing because I was so focused on trying to hit those little dots. So you're like tapping and dragging, but it's really great. I mean, obviously it's a rhythm game, so the taps and everything go to the rhythm, but it's amazing how well it's synchronized and the way the patterns work. And it's obviously trying to get high scores because based on when you tap it, basically it's a lot of times it's a little dot and a ring's coming in, and right as the ring gets perfectly with the circles when you want to tap. If you get it just perfect, it's like 300 points. If you get it close, it's 100 points. And of course, if you get it in the wrong timing, it's 0 and you lose your streak. And on the easier levels, that's okay. But on the harder levels, you miss like 2 dots. It's just game over. And there's a little bar at the top that's kind of show you like how how good you're doing. And if you're constantly hitting them perfectly, the story at the top screen is everything's going great. Like everything's working out. They're fixing everything. You miss one single note, and suddenly the story is like, oh no, it's falling apart for like a good like 5-10 seconds, and you just feel like horrible because you missed that one note. But then fun, after you do it a few, get it right in order for a while, suddenly the story's back. You get it done, and then finally there's like checkpoints where the story kind of like, gives you a little bit more context. The music's playing in the background, and then it kind of almost like a little break to let you get into the next zone. So you have like usually like 3 parts. The last part being, of course, the hardest because they're usually getting into the hard, the really fast, crazy chorus. It's super fun. Like Ryan said, many a touchscreen were probably broken. I know mine was specifically from that spinning thing. I sent my DS in to get the screen fixed. Came back, that was great. I actually bought a screen protector for that DS because of like that, and I just never got around to putting it on. I still have it. I should just put it on because I still have my original DS Lite that I played that on. And I have a 3DS too. I could play it on too. I still have my cartridge for Elite Beat Agents because that game is just so important to me. I remember there's always those like videos of kids like hiding under their blankets playing their Game Boy or playing Pokemon or DS or whatever. And I was that kid with Elite Beat Agents, so I had to have the volume like at the lowest possible setting, but just enough that I could still hear it because I didn't have headphones for it. And I just sit there, and I remember staying up till like 2 a.m. trying to beat Jumping Jack Flash on the hardest difficulty. And I did it. I remember being like, woohoo! And I was like, there's no one to celebrate with. And then I just went to bed. I was so tired, but I'm like, I am going to beat this game. It was so satisfying. And as someone who grew up, I didn't have a console. So like all the other kids who had, systems to play Guitar Hero and all those other games, I didn't have that. So this was my Guitar Hero growing up. So I was just obsessed with this game. It only had 19 songs. There was no DLC, but I learned those songs inside and out. And that's actually some of I know those songs now for like, I never would have heard those songs had it not been for this game.
Well, it's funny you mentioned not having like Guitar Hero because I got Guitar Hero 3. That's about when I sort of got into it, and I think I played Guitar Hero before or after I played Elite Beat Agents. Maybe I'm not sure, but it was around the same time. And because you are the one who let me borrow Elite Beat Agents, and that's how I got into the series. Yeah, you let me borrow it, and so that's and that's where I learned about it and played it and fell in love with it. And then I ended up picking up a used copy at a GameStop many years later. But it's funny because I easily have more fondness for Elite Beat Agents than I do for any Guitar Hero. Like, I kind of, I have some nostalgia for Guitar Hero, especially like playing with you a little bit. Back when you did eventually get the Wii version of Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah, I did eventually get a Guitar Hero game, but this is when Guitar Hero was started to like fade into obscurity because Rock Band was picking up.
Yeah, but like there was something about the charm of Elite Beat Agents and the gameplay that to me was fundamentally like different from Guitar Hero. Because Guitar Hero, it's like you just sort of hit the button at like the right time, which is true for Elite Beat Agents, but it's the patterns that you draw out on the screen, and where you hit it that I think for whatever reason just make it feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels good to play.
Yeah, I mean, it was very dynamic because, like you said, Guitar Hero is very much like it always comes in the same order coming down. Obviously, it's still pretty fun and it's very, dynamic. But like, Elite Beat Agents was just like you didn't know where it was going to appear on the screen. Sometimes you had to tap the same spot multiple times. You'd have like 5 rings coming in all at once, and you had to synchronize it and then immediately spin and drag. And I don't know, and this is funny too because this is before we had like iPhones. Some of these type of games did come to mobile and probably are on mobile now, but this is before mobile games. So this was kind of like that original kind of like style of game. And I hate to compare it to it because I feel like I don't have the highest opinion of mobile games, but this was like, it kind of had a similar thing with the touchscreen controls and how like, it was very intuitive too. Like anyone could pick it up and understand what you're supposed to do because it was all numbered too. So like a lot of the little dots had like numbers, so you knew what order to tap them in. So that helped you kind of navigate, and it was color coded sometimes. So you knew like this color was tap, this color was drag. So it was, a lot of fun. I was just looking up the dates too because I think Elite Beat Agents came out. I just looked up 2006, and Guitar Hero 3 came out in 2007. So a year before. So I'm pretty sure I bought Elite Beat Agents when it came out. Guitar Hero 3, I'm not sure if I got it immediately. I may have gotten that in 2008. So it was like a little while after Elite Beat Agents. But that probably brought on my desire to play more rhythm games was Elite Beat Agents.
Yeah, it's funny because the song list for, like you mentioned, they're only 19, and there are definitely some that I played more than others, like definitely. And even nowadays, like looking at the list on Wikipedia, I feel like there are more songs that I actually like on Guitar Hero 3 than even the Elite Beat Agents list, but for whatever reason, like I just enjoy, like in my mind, I enjoy the song list more for Elite Beat Agents. You know what I mean? Like I sort of have more of a fondness for it, but even when I sit here and like count them out in my head, it's like there are only a handful of songs that I actually genuinely like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it wasn't even just like that I liked the song. There were certain songs that like I just thought were more fun to play. Like they kind of got the
absolutely
down. Like for example, like I really like the song "You're the Inspiration." Like that's a great song, but it was so hard to play that song because it was, because normally when you tapped, it made a certain sound. And it was kind of, and that helped me with my rhythm. Whereas this song, for some reason, when you tap the buttons, it was silent, and it was very intentional because it was probably the most. I'm probably jumping ahead on what we want to talk about, but this is a very emotional song. Like it wasn't as goofy. Like they definitely weren't going as silly. Like I had a few silly moments, but it was actually like very serious about like, dealing with grief and everything. And so it was very like trying to be more like serious. And whereas the other songs were like fast paced, goofy, silly, fun. So that one, so I liked the song, but it was just really hard for me, like mentally to kind of, after playing all the other songs the way it played. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but so I didn't play that song a lot. Whereas like Jumpin' Jack Flash, I loved September by Earth, Wind, Fire, and also another thing interesting that we should bring this up. So even though like games like, actually correct me if I'm wrong, didn't like games like Guitar Hero have the original songs, or were they all covers?
No, they had the original. Well, and so my understanding is they more or less had the original songs. Though I think in some ways they were a little bit modified from the original track because they had to separate out the vocals from the instrumental version. So it may, I don't know, like I haven't like gone back and like looked at the history of guitar. It's possible that some of them are modified versions of the original tracks. Like, it's not necessarily like if you go out and buy a CD, like that's the version that you'll hear. It might be a little bit different, but I don't believe that any of them, like, it's not like they say that something's by, like, I don't know, Queen and it's not Queen. You know what I mean? Like, singing it like it's somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, so in Guitar Hero and those, I'm pretty sure you're getting like the original artist's version of the song, whereas in Elite Beat Agents, they're all covers. Like, none of them are the original artists singing them, performing them. So, which is interesting because I remember listening to all these songs, and when I heard the actual, artist, it was like, oh, that's strange because I played this so much, I was so used to these versions of the song. To a certain extent, there were certain versions I liked better in Elite Beat Agents than the original songs. But,
yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's something to mention too, is that, yeah, these were all covers. And I'm assuming that's obviously helps them with certain licensing fees.
Probably.
And you consider too, like, I don't remember how much the storage the DS carts had, but it wasn't a whole lot. So it was pretty impressive to get, 19 songs on there. And I mean, and they definitely weren't like, high quality versions either. Like, it had to work on the Switch with its sound card and its speakers. And I think even if you had headphones on, it still wasn't exactly like top-notch audio. But it was great at the time. We didn't care. It sounded great, played great. But now when I boot it up, I'm like, ooh, that's a little crunchy. I forgot how crunchy that sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing what we used to put up with.
Yeah.
But it was state-of-the-art.
It was at the time. I mean, the DS itself, I mean, not to get too sidetracked on that, but like was pretty amazing at the time. Like, this is before iPhone, so like in 2004 they're releasing a dual screen touchscreen device with Wi-Fi capabilities, with a microphone. Eventually it had a web browser and stuff too, but like just really pretty cool for like early days Nintendo. So obviously, like, Sony came up with the PSP later and it was much better, but it was also way more expensive and had its own issues. But anyway, the point is, pretty amazing stuff having this, this game on the go. It's actually funny. So, side note, it's funny that eventually Guitar Hero did come to the DS. Because rhythm games were so popular, and this game, I have to look at the sales to see how well this game did.
Didn't it have like a dedicated peripheral too?
It did. So this is the thing that was so cool about the original, like the DS and the DS Lite, that the DSi lost, was the Game Boy Advance slot was, originally it was made so that, you could play just GBA games, but it ended up being this amazing, like, accessory port that was used for, like, they had the Rumble Pack, and it had, what was there, something else? I mean, you could even use it for, like, transferring Pokemon between, like, Game Boy Advance to DS games, which was really cool. But then you had, in Guitar Hero, you had, like, this controller that you could put, so you could hold the screen sideways, and it had one less button than a regular Guitar Hero controller, but it, like, let you have, like, the buttons to tap, and then you use the touchscreen to do your, strumming.
That sounds horrible.
It sounded horrible. Apparently, it was good-ish. Like, people said it played better than you expect. But that was, like, kind of cool that they went through with that. So, I just was thinking about Guitar Hero. I was like, oh, yeah, there was a Guitar Hero literally for the DS. How wild is that? DS was an amazing system. So
it was. Back to Elite Beat Agents.
Yes, sorry. I very easily get sidetracked. So, one thing I wanted to bring up, because we kind of mentioned this a little bit right before the podcast, but going through the Wikipedia page, I completely forgot that Elite Beat Agents had a multiplayer mode. I don't think either of us played it.
I didn't even know this.
I think I remember in the menu seeing it, but never. I think I remember looking into it at the time and being like, I don't really want to do it because it seemed very, like, basic. Like, it was a competition mode, trying to, like, kind of like a high score thing, and I wasn't really into that at the time. I just wanted to beat my own score, and I also just didn't have anyone. Like, I think maybe I might have tried it because I had a download play version. I may have played it with my brother. He can confirm this because he listens to the podcast, if we did or not. But I don't remember playing multiplayer at all. Like, I literally forgot it was a mode until literally just now. So I'm assuming you never played it since you said you don't even
No,
remember.
I didn't even know it existed. I mean, I probably, if it is on the menu, then obviously at some point I did know, but I certainly never tried it. You would have been the only person, I think, that would have been really all that interested in it. My brother certainly wasn't. Nobody else I knew at the time. Which is too bad, but, it's, I guess, I don't know. We also, like, where we were, there weren't that many people into Nintendo games, and also those that weren't that interested in rhythm games. And so, for whatever reason,
most of our friends just didn't have a DS. They all had like Xboxes and PlayStations and stuff, so they were playing.
Boo.
Yeah. Also, I'm just skimming through the Wikipedia page, and I know something just got my attention. I didn't know. Apparently, Elite Beat Agents supported the Rumble Pack.
It did?
According to Wikipedia, I got to try this out now. I have a Rumble Pack.
Yeah. Wow, that's impressive.
So I'm gonna try that. That's kind of wild. So yeah, things we're learning literally live.
Yeah. No kidding. Even we are still Elite Beat Agents experts are still learning things to this day.
Yeah. So, okay. So now I'm like convinced that this was a hidden gem. Now that we call this a hidden gem, but I just went and scrolled down to the number of copies sold, and that I'm pretty sad. Only 179,000 copies of this game were sold in North America.
That is very sad.
That's wild. Like, I guess technically speaking, like I don't even remember why I bought this game. I know I was kind of following IGN at the time, and maybe like they gave it a good review. They promoted it. I was somewhat like tied to them as far as like what games I shouldn't get because I had so little money. So I was really like trying to like maximize it. But it might have been something I saw in the store because I remember going to Target and getting it when I was a kid. And
yeah. I remember like Nintendo Power was really pushing it.
Maybe it was Nintendo Power.
Like some of the editors were like, "This is actually ridiculously good."
I did have Nintendo Power back then too, so maybe that was part of it too. But I don't. I'm trying to remember exactly because I remember being excited to get it and take it home, and it was my obsession for a while. But hard to believe I'm like one of 179,000 people that got it in the U.S. Like a small number, very small number of people played that game, and I'm one of the few. I'm proud. And so are you.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I wanted to bring up about this game, because as I was looking at it, and I was thinking about it before we started recording, I think it's hilarious how largely, obviously there's a couple exceptions, but largely the songs have absolutely nothing to do with the stories.
Yeah.
Like nothing to do with the stories, like not even close. In fact, you could actually rearrange some of the songs and they would make a little bit more sense.
Well, there's one song that you couldn't, but
yeah, absolutely. And then is it You're the Inspiration? Yes. Is that the one you're thinking of? Yeah, that exactly. That one has to be that one. Yeah, that's the only one you couldn't switch out. But the others, well, and I'd say Jumpin' Jack Flash as well, just simply because of how difficult it is. Like, that has to be the last one, but it, like, thematically doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking down. It's like, a lot of them just don't work. There's a couple that kind of, like, it's funny that September, because the band's called Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the theme is meteorology. It's like, but then, like, Believe by Cher was, that one was got close. It was like the whole inspirational song as she's trying to like work her way up to be a dancer kind of thing, like, okay. But yeah, the rest of them I'm looking at, like Survivor, maybe, I don't know, that one's
that one, I don't know. The
YMCA had nothing to do with what they were doing.
The Ahoy Matey Sunken Delights and Adventure, and the song is YMCA. Yeah, perfect. That's like it just sort of goes to show that like this is probably they probably were like, okay, let's just write a bunch of stories and then let's see how like we can fit this many songs on it. We want to make sure they're at least recognizable. And so let's just get whatever, and then we just like pair them up as best we can. Like, that's probably what they did.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm assuming this was made. I wanted to confirm this. Like, so was this made by the same team that made the Japanese game? Like, I'm assuming it
I
is.
honestly don't know.
And then it's a follow-up, to that game. I'm just was trying to figure out because I'm wondering if because it had to have been semi-Americanized. So that because the other one you look at it's definitely very Japanese. This one's definitely Americanized. So I'm curious, like, who designed the stories? Right? Was there a team in Nintendo of America that helped design it, or is it all completely Japanese and they just converted, just translated it?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure.
Oh, I didn't do enough research, but
I'd have to look it up. But
because it has a very American vibe.
It does. It absolutely does.
You got the movie director. You've got the I was literally just thinking what was the other one? It was very American. Oh, baseball one. That's the anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not that baseball. I mean, Japan's very big into baseball too, but there's just a few that I just come to mind. They're just very the theme of the story. But
yeah,
it's so funny, yeah, because I'm like going down memory lane here. I remember all the little stories and like I don't even remember how half of them went. Like I just know that it all worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay, so here's go ahead.
I was just gonna say it does good. Like there's some that I definitely remember because I played them over and over again. Like ones that I played multiple times were the Taxi one, which was Skater Boy.
Mm-hmm.
That one was just fun to play. Like September was the one I played the most, but I also just really liked the song. And the cover of it was actually really good too. And that was the meteorology one where the woman trying to make the weather better so she can have a picnic with her kid or whatever. Obviously, you're the inspiration, like we talked about, which I kind of don't want to discuss in case there just happens to be somebody. You know what I mean? I almost don't want to say what it's about.
Oh, just in case. Well, I kind of
just in case there's somebody. Oh, you did?
Well, okay. A little bit. It's dealing with grief, so that's.
I mean, it's a tearjerker, but I don't want to say exactly.
No, it's a good one. Like, yeah, if somehow you can get a hold of a copy of this game,
Yeah, the anthem I played a lot of as well. That one was really good, which with the baseball player.
Yeah, that song just I don't know why, but just the beat of that song was just super fun to play to. It just had a very good sound and. I'm gonna admit that I did kind of enjoy the Material Girl song. That was kind of fun to play.
I'm sure. I don't think I ever played that one that much, but I know the song, and it's like, yeah, that probably would be. I should go back and play it.
I'm thinking about it right now. Like I think I've got my 3DS XL, my new 3DS XL, which I'm wondering like that would be actually way easier to play on. But I'm also nervous to play on that because I don't want to wreck the touchscreen.
Yeah, no kidding.
I can't fix that now. Well, I could, but just a lot harder. But one thing we didn't really mention too was we mentioned difficulty levels, and the way it works was kind of interesting because the easiest difficulty, I believe, uses the characters from the cover because the characters change as the difficulty goes.
Well, yeah, so the backup dancers are the same for the first 3 levels of difficulty. The center dancer changes.
Was there 5 levels of difficulty?
There are 4.
Okay, because there's... No, I thought it was for the first 2. Then the third one was the Elite Beat Agent girls. And then the fourth one is when you have the girls, but you have Commander Khan.
So my memory is that there are 4 levels of difficulty. The first 3 have different dudes. Or the backup dancers are the same, but the main dude. Center agent changes. And there are 3 of them. And the third one is the guy with the cowboy hat. And then it's the cheerleaders. And then if you beat the game with the cheerleaders, then you can swap out the first dancer with Commander Khan on that difficulty.
I'll have to play it again. My mind, for some reason, he was another difficulty level. But it's probably not right.
It'd be amazing if he was. But that was a really cool Easter egg. I loved that.
Yeah. That was... I exclusively play with him. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's just too funny watching him do all the moves of the girls, because the girl dancers dance different.
and he's still in the suit.
He's still
That's
in the
the best
suit.
part.
Yeah. It's he's not wearing. Yeah, no, no. It's really funny. So, but yeah, it was kind of fun how with each difficulty level you got like a different lead agent, and so it kind of felt like it was, you're unlocking stuff in a way. So, and then when you're on the map, so like there's a world map. It was kind of fun because it was like one of the few things that was 3D in the game, and you would just use a touchscreen, and it was almost like this 3D globe, and you just move it around, and then there's these little like icons for different areas, and you just tap on them, and it would start previewing the song for you, kind of give you, I think it gave you a difficulty rating, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it did too.
Yeah. And of course you had your high scores that you could try to beat.
And your letter grade for that.
Yeah, that's right. There was a letter grade. I was always trying to I think it was an S rank, right? Was the top one?
Yeah. I think it's S.
That was so hard, especially on the later songs. I think
that's what S stands for, is so hard.
I think there's what was that? Weird song?
That's what S stands for, is so hard.
It does, really does.
Yeah.
I think there's a few songs I still never got S rank on. I just really, and I think it was just, there's a couple songs where I just felt, and I don't remember which ones, that I just felt like the beat didn't quite match what I was expecting. Like my brain interpreted this, couldn't fit the motions it wanted me to do to the song, and so I'd always get tripped up. I probably could do better now, but back when I was a kid, I just really struggled with a couple songs.
Yeah. So I'm curious about your opinion on this. We may have talked about this years ago. I think of the two back-to-back songs in the finale, Without a Fight is way harder than Jumping Jack Flash.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Jumping Jack Flash, the beat of it was easier to follow. But Without a Fight, oh my gosh, it took me forever to get through that.
Yep. And so then it made it feel extra bad if you failed Jumping Jack Flash, because then you had to go through Without a Fight again, which is, it was great. But at the same time, it was so much harder.
Well, this is why I was up till 2 at night trying to beat this thing, because I had to go through Without a Fight, try to survive that, and then learn how Jumping Jack Flash went, because you didn't know, right? So you're just trial and error, and you get a quarter of the way and lose, or you get halfway and you keep going. And so I mean, I don't even want to know how many attempts I did at that, but I was so obsessed. I was so mad. I'm gonna beat this thing.
Yep. It's funny because I also did the same thing, playing it at night, and because I knew, especially with that one, with all of the spins that you had to do, I'm like, okay, this stylus has to be perfectly clean. And so I would sometimes in between taps, right before the circle came up, I would quickly move the stylus away from the DS, and I'd wipe it on the comforter of the bed just to make sure it was clean before going in for the spin. And it almost felt like I was reloading the stylus.
I just felt like I was wearing material off the stylus. There was this plastic dust on there because of just how hard I was going at this. And that spinner thing was the bane of my existence, because on that song specifically, you had a fraction of a second to get it up to speed.
Yep.
And
yep.
I'm furiously spinning that thing. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I think I messed with the calibration.
They wanted to destroy.
Crazy.
They wanted to destroy DSs. They absolutely wanted to.
There were so many games that destroyed DSs, but that was definitely one of the worst ones. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That was the one downside, because back then, it wasn't like touchscreens now, which are all capacitive. This was a pressure-sensitive touchscreen, so it only had a single point of contact. It was a plastic screen, so obviously easier to scratch, with friction and everything. And it would go out of calibration because it had the way it had these certain pressure-sensitive things that would just reorient. If one of them was out of whack, it would just completely. And I remember that was when I knew my touchscreen was going out, because I was like, I'm tapping literally right on the dot, and it was showing me tapping somewhere else. And I did the recalibration thing, and it just wasn't fixing it. I was so upset because I wanted to finish this game. So yeah. I think that's actually when I stopped playing. I did play it a little bit more when I got the new fixed DS back, but I was like, I can't afford to mess this up. So
now, remind me, did you play this on an OG DS or a DS Lite?
DS Lite.
I played it on an OG DS.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it was. It's still here. It no longer displays color on the top screen.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I have to crack it open
That thing,
eventually and fix
that
it.
thing was a beast.
It
It's
was.
hard to even believe Nintendo released that thing. It was such a monstrosity. I mean,
It was horrible. I almost feel like they should have just waited for the DS Lite and given the Game Boy Advance like another couple years or something like that.
I think they were.
I don't know.
I think they were under pressure because the PSP was very close to coming out, and they knew they had to put something out. That's why the Game Boy Advance had such a short life. And I think I almost feel like the original DS was like the prototype, and they just had to push it out. And the DS Lite was what it was supposed to be. The DS Lite is just far and away. Like, I mean, Nintendo's done a lot of refreshes over the years with their systems, but I don't think any of them have been quite as substantial as the DS to DS Lite as far as just raw improvements. I mean, it is one of the most sleek, one of the best looking handles I think Nintendo's ever designed is the DS Lite. It is so premium looking and feeling. And like, this was at a time too when like Apple was really big because of the iPod, and it had this very Apple-esque kind of vibe because I had the white one, and so it very much felt like an Apple device. Had that clear plastic on the outside, which was a big deal to me because on my original DS, it scratched really easily, and I accidentally I remember just so distinctly, like it fell out of my hands, and for some reason, like I put my foot out to catch it, to like kind of break its fall, and instead it actually flung it across my parents' driveway upside down, so the top of the thing was just scuffed. And
that's painful.
And I remember when the DS Lite came out, they were talking about how it had this plastic coating, which was designed so that you couldn't see scratches because it was clear. It's clear plastic coating, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good!" Now, like if it gets a scratch, it won't look so bad, and it just felt like it was more durable. And I still have it. I cannot believe I've left that thing in storage for I don't know how many years, and I went to go boot it up. It just booted up, and it still had battery. I was like, what sorcery is this?
What kind of sorcery? Yeah. Nintendo built stuff to last.
Yeah. It's
like
crazy.
That and the Game Boy Advance SP are crazy durable.
I know.
It is so impressive.
That's one of my deepest regrets was getting rid of my SP. Like it's one of those things where I feel like I might splurge one day on eBay and just get one just so I have one again. But I'm glad I still have my DS Lite. I have a very special case that I bought for it back then, like to protect it. And it's like this, like almost like one of those like I don't know how you call it, but like it's like not briefcase, but like kind of like one of those like ones that they show like they look like they're metal and they like little clips on the side. And it has like my DS, it has like a card charger, it has all my games in it, and the extra styluses. It's just so, and I've kept that case, and it's kept that DS looking so clean and premium over these years. And I'm really happy about that. So I'm never letting go of that thing. It's too precious. So many memories.
Absolutely. So much Elite Beat Agents.
Oh, I know. Well, back to it. We keep diverting, but I don't really know what more to talk about Elite Beat Agents.
Yeah, I feel like we covered pretty much everything. With I guess the exception of, let's say that we had to pitch to Nintendo, like, yeah, you should bring this back. Obviously, there's no way to say like, oh, this did well or anything. Obviously it didn't. But it's like, could this even come back? Like, the Switch 2 has a touchscreen. So, theoretically, it could.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's the same.
I don't think
though,
because it would be it'd be a handheld only type game.
It'd be handheld only, and I don't think it works as well with the mouse controls. Unless you changed up the gameplay significantly. Like, the tolerance was higher, or, like, somehow they, like, limited the way, like, you could still use the mouse controls, but they sort of, like, limited the range, like, it wasn't just a cursor, like, it would have to move along a track or something like that. But then that just doesn't sound fun.
It doesn't sound fun to me. I think.
Yeah, I think it was a product of its time. I don't think it should ever come back. The closest thing would be like maybe like if they add DS to Nintendo Switch Online, like have it there, but I don't think it's as good.
I don't know, because I'm wondering if like issues with licensing on music too. If that, I know they're
That's
covers,
true.
but
That's
that
true.
could still be a challenge. I think the closest thing they could do is it would just have to be a different style of game, like a Just Dance kind of style of game. Or like if Nintendo wanted to sell some kind of fun little accessory. Well, actually, you think about like Just Dance, but like it's got you mix the controllers with the camera. Like they wanted to like sell more of those cameras. Maybe it'd be like a fun Nintendo specific dance game. But I don't know. I just feel like with games like Just Dance existing, there's almost no reason to, unless Nintendo did like a collab with them and had like a Nintendo. But then it'd be like Nintendo music. It wouldn't be like pop songs. If you want pop songs and you want dancing or fun like rhythm games, you just get a Just Dance game.
Yeah.
You know,
I just feel aren't as charming. I don't know.
I agree. I mean, the charm of it was like the comic book style and the touchscreen controls. I just don't know how it'd be possible without completely redoing the way the game plays. So, and yeah, obviously, like I said, it didn't sell super well. So it's just one of those games where we were lucky enough to enjoy it at that time. But it's just, like you said, a product of its time. And we're just, sometimes that's the beautiful thing about something. It's just you have to be there. So
absolutely.
To us.
One last thing I wanted to ask. How much do you bet that there was at least someone in Nintendo who floated the idea of a Wii port of this? They're just like, what if we put this on the Wii? And you know that somebody like had considered, oh yeah, and like what if we use the pointer controls for that? Sounds awful, but I guarantee you somebody thought of it. Like, do you agree? Like somebody had to have.
I'm
right?
sure someone was looking at it in like some kind of perspective, like how could we make this a Wii game? Like, because again, like they were trying to cram motion controls onto everything, but yeah, I'm sure they tried it and it just didn't quite work. So,
yeah, because like they essentially ported Trauma Center Under the Knife.
That one makes a little more sense.
It's yeah, but it does, in my opinion. I know that like this is the minority opinion for sure. I don't think it controls as well on Wii as it does on the DS, but that's just my opinion. Like I still love it, but
no,
like,
I don't think it
does not control as well.
I don't think that's possible because the original Wii controllers just used an accelerometer. It had no gyroscopic controls, so it was not very fine-tuned. The pointer controls were, like, as fun as I thought they were great at the time, but I go back and play them, like, these things were just so jittery. Like, the infrared was just not strong enough to support, for the cameras to really, like, track well. And there should have been some software that kind of helped smooth out the pointer, but it was just, like, raw pointer, like raw input. So it just wasn't fine-tuned enough for that kind of game.
No, and like even when I play like Trauma Center Second Opinion, which is the port of Under the Knife for Wii, I just don't think it works like nearly as well. Like there are some levels that I just have never gotten past, even though I've gotten S rank on like everything in both like DS Trauma Center games. The Wii one I just cannot like beat at all.
I could see them doing
which
like
actually
a Switch game though.
Yeah, of Trauma Center.
Yeah, mouse controls.
I'd love that. We should actually like I would love to do an episode on Trauma Center someday. But not really a hidden gem, but one that was definitely near and dear to my heart. And then I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but there's a way to essentially do co-op Trauma Center on the Wii. That's kind of goofy.
Really?
Yeah, it's still single player, but essentially one person holds the nunchuck and one person holds the Wii remote, and the nunchuck, all it's used for is the control stick is used to select the tool. So essentially the person holding the Wii remote has to be like, nurse, scalpel, antibiotic gel, and it's essentially like you're in the operating room.
That's funny. That sounds very much like how you would do a Nintendo co-op thing, like the way they do. Like with DK Bonanza and Mario Odyssey, where it's just like one person's they're not really playing, but they're there and they're kind of participating.
Yeah, I tried doing it with Katie. She did not have fun.
No.
I'm like, okay, I guess we're not playing
it's
this.
Just there to take orders.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up, really. I don't know what else there is to cover with Elite Beat Agents.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a beautiful game that unfortunately was underappreciated for its time. Has very low likelihood of ever coming back. But I still wish more people got to experience.
Yeah, just for the heck of it, I want to see how much they're going for on eBay.
$2.
No, I think I can see one going for like $17.50, $16.99. Like I was hoping that because they were so rare, right? Like there's so few of them sold in the U.S. that they would, be a little worth. Not that I would sell mine. I was just hoping that like it would be sought after. But no, you can get them. I guess the part of the reason I was going to say that is like, okay, if you're out there and you're listening, you want to try this hidden gem and experience some amazing history, and somehow you're willing to go get a Nintendo DS and buy Elite Beat Agents, you can get it for not a lot of money on eBay.
And the DS will probably cost you. But
yeah, how much does a DS cost? Nintendo DS. Depends on who you buy it from.
It would probably, in some ways, be easier to just use like an emulator on like an Android phone or something like that, and you can probably just tap the screen with your fingers. We can't. Yeah, exactly. Well, agree. I 100% agree. But I just like, my point is I feel like if anyone is going to experience it, that probably is like the only like theoretical way at this point.
Well, I mean, like I said, you can get a DS for under $100 on eBay.
Under 100. Okay.
Yeah. Most of them are refurbished and stuff, but the DS is still at this moment Nintendo's best-selling system. So there were a lot of them out there. So they're out there. They're not rare, hard to get at the moment. They may eventually be, but there was a lot of them out there. And it's really, I know you can do it with an emulator, but like, it's not the same.
It's not.
You don't want to tap it with your finger. You need a stylus. It's made for a stylus. Yeah. And it's just amazing playing it on the original hardware. It's just the way it was meant to be played. It looks good on that little screen. The colors, the interaction. That's my official recommendations. You can, if you really want to experience that era of DS games, you really gotta go. You
gotta play it on a 3DS is what you gotta do. Bet you didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure it's not a bad idea, especially with the Excel ones, but with
a thicker stylus.
Right. Well, but that's the beautiful thing too. Is like if you can't get a DS, use a 3DS. You can still play them. Like there's tons of way to play DS games. So, yeah, great. Obviously, not everyone has that kind of money to drop on that kind of stuff. But if you're interested in going back and playing games on a DS, it's a great way to go. If you get a 3DS, you can play all the DS games, all the 3DS games. Super great way. The 3DS will run you a lot more money though. I'm looking at like a new 3DS XL going for like $250 on eBay refurbished. Yeah. So you can get a DS for a lot cheaper if you just want to play DS games. So like you can even get like a DS for like $50. Oh, this is in Japan. Holy cow, maybe not.
Yeah, no, the shipping alone is $50.
Yeah, but you can get some for not too much if you shop around. So, and then like I'm shocked at how cheap it is to get Elite Beat Agents still. So, obviously, didn't quite hit that. Like you try to get a copy of like Pokemon Heart Gold or Soul Silver. Good luck. You take out a mortgage for one of those.
Yeah, I was browsing GameStop yesterday with Katie, and I just was like looking at like various pre-owned games, and like a pre-owned copy of Soul Silver is like $120. Like a pre-owned copy, it's not even like one that's still sealed or something.
They used to be a lot more.
Yeah, I was really shocked, but still at the same time it was shocking to Katie because she's never seen it, but it's still like above and beyond, like way more expensive than like any other used Nintendo game that was there.
Mm-hmm.
But
wow, they come down in price. I feel like I might actually be able to get one of these. It's been one of I got the Pokemon. Was it Alpha? No,
Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah, because I loved Sapphire, and I just felt like I gotta get this, and then I really wanted to get Soul Silver. But
Get black and white.
I need to get that too. So anyway, we're way off topic.
Yeah, way off topic. All right, let's.
We'll wrap it up.
This was good.
This was fun.
We like Elite Beat Agents. It's fun.
Yep,
Play it.
definitely. If not, just at least look it up on YouTube. Just watch.
Yeah.
See what it's about. It's fun. Thank you for listening to our talk and rant about a really obscure game from way back that we really love. We hope that if you are one of those few people that did experience Elite Beat Agents back in the day, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Reach out. It's fun to know that there's other people that enjoy that game. And again, well, this has been the Super Dandori Bros. I'm Leighton. He's Ryan. We'll talk to you again in the next one. Bye.
See ya.